Hi, this is Cheryl St.Pierre, and in this video, we're going to make these woven puff teardrop earrings, and this is version number 2 of these, showing some variation in technique. And this is also a Beebeecraft video, as they are the ones that supplied me these beautiful Beebeecraft electroplate natural freshwater shell beads. But okay, the electroplate, I don't know if it's catching it, but it gives it a rainbowy effect, iridescent kind of effect. They really look like pearls. They're going to be super durable, so these will definitely be an heirloom quality piece of jewelry that you could make. So I also wanted to say that, you know, I put these extension on the earrings because they give an elegance to it. But if you like a shorter earring, by all means, just have this part by itself. It's beautiful on its own as well. So that's another option you could do. So I'm going to just give you the supply list here now. And I'm going to see if you can do a screenshot of this. Oh, it just barely fits in there. Okay, perfect for a screenshot. So you're going to need 2 of the teardrop beads. They are 18 by 13 by 4 millimeter puff style. Of course, I'm using the ones that Beebeecraft supplied for me, and they're the Beebeecraft electroplate natural freshwater shell beads, and I'll have the link to them in the description. And your ear wires of choice, you're going to need 4 8-inch pieces, and that's 20 centimeters of 20 gauge, which is supposed to be 81. That's a typo. Dead soft wire. I'm using raw copper. Then you're going to need 2 pieces of 4.5 feet, 28 gauge, and that's 135 centimeters. And 28 gauge is 0.32 millimeters of dead soft wire, and I am using raw copper. Then you will need 6 by 4 rondelle crystals for the top portion of your earring. And I don't know if you can tell that, but these aren't clear. They're the pink. They're that light pink, and they go with the pink of these teardrops. And I forgot to mention, these actually come in 3 different colors. They have one they call brown, and it's a reddish brown, so it's a very interesting color. And then they have another one that is called camel, and which is a taupe type of color. And they're all lovely, and so you could pick from the 3 colors, or all 3 if you really chose. So anyways, that's what I've picked for the matching beads on top. And I think that's it for the supplies. Now we'll go to tools. It's a pretty simple list. You're going to need your round nose pliers, your chain nose pliers, your flush cutters or snips, and a ruler. And that's it for the supplies. Now, I'd like to ask you to, if you like this video, to give it a thumbs up. Please, please, please comment on it. It helps me so much when you leave a comment. Give me feedback. Tell me how you like it. I'm trying to make this video easier to watch than the last one was. So, but there's different techniques to learn in both of them. So they're both worth looking at. And I was having some camera issues with the last one, so hopefully this one turned out much better. Okay, and I think that's all I need to do. So let's get on with the show. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I want you to take one of your 8-inch pieces of 20 gauge wire and your ruler, and we're going to measure 4 inches, which is half of the wire, and 4 inches is 10 centimeters. in metric and just give it a bend, like about 90 degrees. Doesn't have to be exact. And we're going to make our loop for the top of our earrings. So you're going to use your favorite loop size that you like for your earrings. You should always be consistent. And I want you to wrap 3 times. Okay, and then I'm just going to come back straight down and then snip that off. Keep your scrap because we'll use it for the upper part of the earring. And just making sure everything's nice and neat, because when it's neat, it's stronger. Crimp that in. It's going to fight you. But it's going to be hidden. It just does a neater job if it is crimped in as much as you can. And okay, so I want you to do that with 2 of them. And so then the next step would be we are going to bend 1 left and 1 right from the front. If you're picky about how it looks, if you're not, then it doesn't really matter. Just straightening that up. Okay. So yes, do that with 2 of them. Then take your weaving wire, and I'm just demonstrating with a shorter piece of wire just to be easier, so I'm not fighting with the camera. And I might zoom in the camera a little bit here, just so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Okay, so you're going to take another one of your 8-inch pieces, which is 20 centimeters, and match up the ends. So the loop is going to be, well, we're going to set that down in a minute and we can do that. I'm going to wrap the weaving wire, put the tail over top, wrap it around once. We're going to lasso in the second piece. So I just cinch those circles together, and then we're going to hold it so that the ends are pretty close. I'm going to straighten this wire because it's going to be awkward if I don't. Okay. Now I'm not going right up to here right now just for ease of weaving. I'm going to hold it and I'm going to wrap. I'm on top right now. Whoops. I'm holding it like this, supporting it, and wrapping once, going underneath and up through the middle. And we're doing the 3/4 weave, if I haven't mentioned that already. And I'm going to do, now that's just lassoed in. It's going to blend in with the weave perfectly. I'm on top right now. I'm going completely under, and I'm going 3/4 around. That's why it's called the 3/4 weave. And now I'm going to go down between the 2 wires. And the next time I go up, it alternates up, down, up, down. And now I'm going 3/4 of the way around again. So it's going to have a flat wire on top there. And now I'm coming up like that. And I'm going to quickly show you a drawing of what this weave looks like. So this is how we want it to look. It's going to have 2 short wraps, a long wrap, 2 short wraps, a long wrap, 2 short wraps, long wrap. And it could, or it could be the long wrap first, depending on how you start out. So as long as we have that sequence, that's what you're going after. Okay, so right now, I'm going to start the second. Actually, I've got 1 long wrap there, as you can see, and now I'm going 3/4 of a way around. and well, the tail got in the way, and then down, and now I'm going all the way around 3/4 of the way, and then up through the 2, and 3/4 of the way around and down through the 2. Now I've got 3 patterns there. Now I'm going to cinch it up, because you don't want to go too long without cinching it up, because then it gets messy. And I'm going to do 5 more patterns this time. I think 5 is the maximum I like to do without cinching it up. So 1, 2, well, no, that's 2, 3, 'Did it go in between? Yes. Okay. So I got 5 there, and I'm going to cinch it up, and I'm going to slide it over to here. And sometimes it's easier said than done. I'm going to actually hold on to the weave with my fingers and pull with the pliers at the end, and see it slid it on over perfectly. Okay, and now I'm going to gently slide this other wire to match the ends, and there, now we're set to go, nice and tight. Now I want you to continue that weave to a minimum of 2 3/4 inches in length. I went almost 3 inches. We're going to be cutting it off, but it's always good to have a little extra done. And so I would like you to do that with both of them. And I have 2 completed already, so I'm going to move on. So if you're not done your weaving yet, then I would like you to pause the video and get that done. It might take you a while, depending on how you're going. Sometimes it takes me a couple days if my wrists are sore, so it depends. Today I managed to do it all in one session. So you're going to have 1 facing left and 1 facing right for this. So you're going to need to pick which one's neater to choose, because maybe yours is going to be neater from the back, and then you got to pick, you know, they're opposites, so you're going to have to pick the best of your weaving for your project. Okay, and I'm just cinching it up a little bit. And then the next step is to snip off these wires, these tails here, completely down. It's going to be covered, so we don't need to worry about cinching it in. And then just for working ease, we're going to snip off the tails. I gave you really long tails to make it easy to work with. You could actually do it shorter, but I wanted it, you know, just for ease of working. And so just snip it off so it's about 1/2 inch long or 1 centimeter long, whatever you're comfortable with. And do that to both of them. Okay, and then the next step is to bring your beads. So we'll start, want that one to be left, so this one needs to be right. There we go. Okay, so this wire, we want it to be fairly down, like that. And this wire, the loop, we're going to, it's going to bend on us, so we can straighten it out later. Don't stress about that now. The first thing is to put your bead on, like that. And now we're going to shape around the bead. And we're going to have this wire over top. We want the weave to go behind the wire that's coming out of the bottom of the bead. I'm trying to keep the weave as parallel as possible. And if you need to straighten it, you could take your nylon pliers if you have, or gently use your chain nose pliers to straighten it out. Mine's not too bad. I'm not going to try straightening it out yet. That one direction is always harder than the other. The next one's probably going to be much harder. This one just was a breeze. Okay, so I'm going to do like that. Cinch it up. Make it tight so it looks right. And because I've got zoomed in, I'm going out of camera too much. But now I'm straightening this out. This is the point where you need to have that straight, and the weaving, because I did that, flipped on me, so I'm just go like that. And now keep it all lined up nice. I'm going to wrap around, wrap around the stem, for lack of words, and I'm going to make a loop. See, my weaving is nice and long. I'm going to make a loop, and I'm going to snip this off to where I think I can bend it nicely so it touches the rest of the weave. And don't worry if your weaving unravels a tiny bit. It won't have an impact on the finished product. So now I'm just taking this and tilting it down so that it's bent a little bit and touching. And that will prevent further weaving from coming off. And if you have a little bit coming off, I don't know if I do here, you would just snip it off as close to the work as possible. And then you want to check from the front to see if you can visually see it. And I can see it a little bit. So I'm going to take my pliers. I'm just going to push it down until I can't see it anymore. And that's not bad. I'm going to push it down a tiny bit more. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. Okay, so I have mentioned before that I am doing a variation of a version I did earlier, and the other one had a bicone in it. This one isn't. This one I'm just doing a double loop, and I'm going to do it in the bottom corner here. And so I'm going to bend this wire, and we want, just so you know what side to work on, we want the wire to go up with this one that wrapped around, because we want to wrap around with it. So I've got it upside down like this, and I want right beside where it comes out of the bead, I want to make a small loop like that. And I'm going to stop at this point, and I'm going to do the other ear wire, because we want to make sure that these loops match in size on both of them. We're going to be consistent that way. So now I'm going to virtually do the same type of wrap around, but in the opposite direction. I'm hemming and hawing. If I should do it on camera, because it is kind of duplicating it. This one was on the right. We started on the right. This one we're going to start with the weave on the left. And so maybe I'll get that part on. I'm putting the bead on. Switch beads. I had one with a really tight, there we go. This one has a really tight opening right there. So I'm not going to use it, but I can use it. All you need is a reaming tool, if you've ever heard of that. and it just sands it out to make it, it's right at the tip where it's tight. Other than that, it fits. So you might have one or two on your strand that are like that. Okay, so now I'm just going to hug it around and do exactly the same thing, just coming from the other direction. And I'm going to pause through that so I'm not wasting your time. Okay, so I have this one wrapped up. And so this one, the loop is on the left, and the weaving started on the right, and we're coming from the left when we wrap. So the loop down below is wrapped to the left. Now this one we're ending up with the weaving at the right. So this one, the loop is going to be at the right hand side of the bead hole. So now I'm just going to bend it around and try. See, this one I went up, and this one I kind of didn't go up enough. So I'm going to push this up with my pliers like that. I think I did pretty good there. And now just finish it off so that now they kind of match. Now let's see if they match in size. Oh, I did pretty good. This one might be a tiny bit bigger. So if one is a tiny bit bigger, then you just try to jiggle it a little bit tighter, and you should make it smaller. And I say that's pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to do another loop around that with some airspace on the upper part. And I'm trying to use tension in my wire so that it's not kinked. And now I'm going to, because I like the look of that there, I'm going to put my finger there, or my thumb there, to hold it in place while I bend the other side. So it goes like that. And now I want to hug it underneath like that. And now I want it to match the weave. So I put my thumbnail or my thumb there so that it would bend and hold to the shape. And it's like that. And now I'm just going to wrap it with the same process that we wrap the weave, and then snip it. Okay, and now I'm just going to bend this downwards, kind of crimp it in. I'm actually just going to push it in like that. Oh, I hope I got that on camera. And there, that is the bottom of that teardrop. And see, it goes on top of the weave a tiny bit. That's okay. Or if yours ends up going a little bit higher, that's okay too, as long as you make them match. And each one's going to be slightly different. So the hardest part is trying to make them match. All these pearls are just so, I'm surprised they don't call them pearls, because it sure looks like nacre on there to me. But and it's very durable. These are going to stand up really well. These could be heirloom quality jewelry for sure. Okay, so now I'm going to do the other one. So I'm holding it upside down. Did I hold it upside down with that one? I'm not sure. But I want to try and make a similar shape, again using tension. And I want to try and match that distance apart. Oops. I think it's going pretty good. I'm supporting it because I don't want it to get smaller there. take your time. I think it was a little bit bigger, so I'm just tugging a little bit to make it smaller, supporting it and coming around. And now let's compare. I'd say it's pretty good. And now I'm going to wrap underneath there fairly tightly. It can even go underneath that wire a smidge. I think I did on the other one. Okay, so now I've got it to the edge of that pearl. I'm going to put my thumbnail down to hold it there so that it takes on the shape of the teardrop, which it does quite nicely. And then bend it around. Okay, and then I'm going to snip it off, crimp it in. Push it in. Whoops. Tuck it in there really good. Okay. Well, there they are. Okay, so remember how I asked you to save your scraps? Well, they're going to just make the top where we put the 3 rondelle beads. Now, this wire is gone, you know, kind of funky. It's not very straight, which is perfect. And we're going to straighten it this way because we're going to work harden it. Or you could use your nylon pliers to straighten it that way too. Or you could use your fingers and straighten it like this. It all depends on how you want to straighten it. And remember, the wire's gonna be basically hidden. So if you don't get it perfect, it's not gonna matter. But the work hardening is good. And I'm going to go right to the end with that. Now I'm taking my round nose pliers, favorite size of loop again, and I'm going to make first a P loop, which is that. And now I'm going to put this plier back in and have it like that. And I'm just going to push this over to turn it into an I loop, like that. And I'm going to then straighten this again because we want it fairly straight. Put 3 rondelles on it. This is actually a very simple top. The other version had a more complex top. And you could by all means go back to that one and do the other kind. It just gives a nice variation. This will give a shorter earring as well. And so that's one reason for doing this. And I'm going to make the loops opposite because we need one going this way to put the pearls on, and we need it the opposite way to go on the ear wires. So if you don't get it quite right, we can always change that later, fix it up with our checks. So I'm going to hold this now, and I'm going to hold the beads down, and I'm putting my finger here. I don't know if you can see that in between my thumb and my finger. My other finger's holding that. And now I'm pushing this over, using the bead as the support. And I'm bending the beads back because they bent slightly. And now I'm going to make my favorite size loop again. Okay, so there it is. Now I'm going to use my tiny snips to get in there and snip. And that loop is done, and it's nice and tight so that there isn't too much movement of the beads, because you want that tight look. And now I want to make sure that the loops are at 90-degree angle to each other. And I just hold this and feel, you can feel it, but I mean, you can tune that later when we put it on the ear wire. Okay, so where did I set my ear wires? I'm going to pause while I look for them. Okay, that was quick. And you would, I would pick my neatest looking loop to go on the ear wire, because you see that one head on to see how round it is. And this looks like it needs tightening a little bit. And now I'm going to open this one up to put the teardrop on it. I probably should have done the teardrop first, because you got to make sure that it's all facing forwards, but it's actually easy enough. Tighten that up, make sure it's sitting straight. See, it's off to the side. So which loop is out of place? I believe it's the top of the teardrop. I'm just going to make it go upright a little bit more. Now it's going the opposite way, just a smidge. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, that one's ready to go. Okay, I'm just starting the next one. Take my other scrap piece of wire and straighten it out, work hard on it. Make a loop. I'm trying to work faster for you. Make it an eye loop. Straighten that out. Put the 3 beads on. Hold that all tight and give it a band using the bead as your guide for the band. And favorite size of loop. Snip it. Decide which loop is nicer looking. This one definitely is nicer looking. The one you start out with usually is the nicer one. And put that on the ear wire. Well, actually, I'm going to do the one that's not as nice to put the teardrop on. Oops. You can tell I did a lot of weaving today. My wrist is very tired. Okay. and do the checks to make sure everything hangs right. And this one is hanging perfect right from the get-go. Awesome. And there they are. Beautiful. Okay, thank you for joining me in this video. And just to mention for Beebeecraft, if you are interested in doing these package opening and tutorials for them, I have a link in my description where you can go and apply. It doesn't take much. You just need 100 subscribers, and they usually accept you. So there you are. So thank you for joining me. God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.